Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strengths that all humans have. Then, an accidental overdose of... Fuck. Overdose.
Do Sean Connery doing the intro now.
An accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry. And now, when David Banner grows angry or outraged... I'm losing it. And now when David Banner grows angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurs. The creature is driven by rage and pursued by an investigative reporter. The creature is wanted for a murder he didn't commit. David Banner is believed to be dead, and he must let the world think he is dead until he can find a way to control the raging spirit that dwells within him. Now do the Hulk roar.
I'd like to apologize to Tim Allen. I think I plagiarized him there. Good evening, the time is 9:51. This is the Great Marvel Post-Mortem. Wyatt, welcome to our big Hulk-sized celebration, because it's episode 2, and already we've found the best thing we're gonna watch this season.
Maybe any season, honestly.
Maybe. We know some of the crap that's coming up, and this was excellent. So
this was really fantastic. Yes, hi, I'm Wyatt. This is our Incredible Hulk, the 1977,
78, 77.
Well, it depends on how you mark it.
70s.
Because the pilot film aired in 77, the series starts in 78. I believe is the nature of things.
The 70s to
The
early
70s
80s
Hulk.
one.
Yes, the good one.
The good one.
Now I had this vision.
Tell me a little bit about how the fuck this was made, and then tell me about your vision before that.
I had this vision that we could intro the episode with a dramatic reading of the opening monologue for every episode.
A gothic reading.
A gothic.
Put in a
reading.
lightning bolt.
Would you like to take care of it, or would you like me? I got it written down.
Dude, you're giving me a lot of credit at remembering the words that they say at the beginning of every episode.
All right, we'll cut this out. We'll put it at the front, maybe. Well, we'll get into it real quick since you brought it up. That opening narration, as well as the voice for the Hulk through, I believe, all of the first season and maybe a little bit of season 2, is Ted Cassidy, who is best known as playing Lurch on the original Addams Family series.
Not modern Lurch.
Not modern Lurch, the OG Lurch.
OG Lurch, dude.
Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away during production of season 2, so he was replaced by
someone called Napier?
Charles
Or am I
Napier,
way
that's
off?
correct. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, like the Joker in the 1989 Batman
yeah.
film. That's the only reason I remembered.
Yeah.
I was gonna really sneakily look it up real quick instead of relying on memory, and my fingers didn't work, and I looked up in Turbo Hulk. So we'll never know.
It's like when I looked up Horde the Duck right before we started recording.
We were just stupid, dude, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, so I think that intro does a pretty good job of introducing what the story is, by design.
Yeah. It's like The Fugitive, but if he was big and green sometimes.
Well, to hear the creator of the show, Kenneth Johnson, put it, the show is literally a mix of The Fugitive and Les Mis.
Les Mis?
Yeah, so he was, as the story goes, so Kenneth Johnson, he had worked on The $6 Million Man with Lee Majors, and he created the spinoff for that show, The Bionic Woman, and around the time that was wrapping up, he was given the opportunity by one of the higher-ups at Universal, who had just licensed out several Marvel properties, those being, I believe, Captain America, The Human Torch, Ms. Marvel, and the Hulk.
All the good ones.
Yeah. This higher up at Universal brings in Kenneth Johnson, and he's like, "Hey, which Marvel show do you want to make?" And Kenneth looks him in the eye and says, "None of them." And leaves.
What a sensible man.
Yeah, and he leaves because he's like, "This is comic book shit. It's stupid," and he's so right for that. But his wife had recently gifted him a copy of Les Miserables by Victor Hugo that he had been reading. And while he's reading Les Mis, presumably on the toilet, an idea bulb goes off above his head, and he says, "Oh, you could do this, but with the Hulk, and have Javert be like really like the cop from The Fugitive." That's something The Fugitive, but we're going to make him a reporter so that it's not too derivative of that show. And then he's like,
so
yeah.
Javert became Banner.
Javert became McGee.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no. You don't know your Les Mis, apparently.
I don't. I just know that Russell Crowe falls off a bridge.
That's Javert. That's Jack McGee.
I do know Javert then, dude.
Yeah, that's Jack McGee, basically.
I've played the almost completely unrelated. I've played the one fan-made fighting game that is all Les Mis characters.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. We should play that for the channel.
Yeah, for sure we will.
That should actually be our tie-in episode with the Hulk, and you'd have to listen to this to know why. That makes sense. But yeah, so we have Kenneth Johnson is the head creative force on the show, putting it together.
And you know what else Kenneth Johnson made? I'm gonna give you one guess as to what I'm gonna say he made.
I'm gonna guess you're gonna say Steel, starring Shaquille O'Neal.
You're goddamn right. It's Steel with Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
So joining onto the show, primarily we have Bill Bixby, who at the time was best known for a sitcom called My Favorite Martian, where he played a guy who hung out with a Martian who was pretending to be a human.
That title famously reused for Ray William Johnson's YouTube band.
Oh, it'll be famously reused in our conversation later. As well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
When we make our own YouTube band.
Bill Bixby, he also worked on a show called I believe The Courting of Edward's Father. Fuck, I don't, my notes are like so scattered this time.
Is this some sort of show where he courts Edward's father in some sort of gay love affair?
The courtship of Eddie's father. So he's like a single father, he's a widower, and the show is basically about his son trying to like set him up with a bunch of women every week.
That sounds like it could directly lead into The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets a new girlfriend about every other week, I would say.
So you're saying we should pause this recording and go and watch that show, because clearly we missed some things.
Bill also started a series called The Magician as a stage illusionist, according to the credit here. That is also where an image I shared with you earlier, Joel, of Bill Bixby. It's his image that's used on Wikipedia, pondering his orb.
Pondering his tiny orb.
He looks like the tall man from Phantasm right now. Yeah, so another lead we have on the show is, of course, Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk.
Lou Ferrigno currently driving past your house, I hear.
Yeah, that's the yard maintenance people with the leaf blower. How inopportune.
Great timing.
Great. They're literally at my door, which is next to my desk.
How long do they take?
Right. I think we're good. I think we can pop back. Where were we?
Evil leaf blower nemesis is gone.
That was my Javert outside right now.
He's fallen off a bridge. It's okay.
He used the leaf. My version of Javert, he uses the leaf blower to blow himself back up from the bridge, and he survived. And he follows me to this day. I was getting into Lou Ferrigno when the leaf blower came by.
Perfect. I hear he's a lovely guy.
By all accounts, Lou and Bill were both fantastic people and consummate professionals, with one exception on Lou Ferrigno's part. That he shares. It's his own anecdote. But so Lou Ferrigno, maybe this is in your fun facts, maybe not. He was not the original Hulk for this series.
Oh, I read that, but it's not, so good timing to talk about it.
Yeah, so originally when they were filming the pilot TV film, they had cast Richard Keel. I don't know how you say that. Who is best known as Jaws in whichever Bond movie
That's what he is.
As the shark from
Everything
Jaws.
just clicked into place, actually.
Yeah. You know the guy...
The shark from Jaws, yeah.
Oh, no. But there is actually one extant shot of Richard Keel in the pilot film. It's during the scene where we have our first Hulk transformation. There's like just one shot of like his face still in there. But yeah, pretty quickly on set, they were like, all right, this is a very tall dude. He fits the physical stature of the Hulk, but he's not shredded. We'll just get right into the plot of that pilot, I guess. David Banner, he is working as a physician. He is working on a piece of research with Dr. Elena Marks into the alleged ability of humans to exhibit superhuman strength during times of intense stress or anxiety or, whatever else. The example that comes up many times in the show, and that I'm sure many people have heard of outside of the show, is like a mother lifting a car off of her toddler who's been pinned underneath it.
Very different from the comic book.
Very.
In an interesting way. Mm-hmm. In the comic book origin, it's like a bomb, right?
Right.
Which is very violent. And then in this, it's a lot less violent. It's a lot more medical of a search for strength.
Right. So what they eventually discover is that a lot of these documented instances of people having like disproportionate strength are correspond to solar flares that emit gamma radiation and cause a spike in gamma in the atmosphere. Which is kind of nuts, but okay.
So the sun is turning people into bulky Italian men, you're saying?
Exactly. David is like, okay, well, I'm going to put this hypothesis to test, and I'm going to give myself just a cheeky little blast of gamma in the gamma chair.
Gamma chair that we see at the beginning of every episode.
This pilot, by the way, is so like moody and atmospheric, and like when he's getting into that,
it's real gothic.
Yeah, when he's getting into that chair for the first time, it feels really like stressful. Like it's spooky. And the way that the like crosshair of the X-ray machine, which you see in every opening, like slowly like finds itself centered on his head.
Bullseye.
And I'm ashamed to admit, by the way, in the intro, it took me way too long to actually notice the very first shot is the danger sign, but we're zoomed in enough that the D is cut off, so it says anger, and then pulls back and says danger.
Or it says anger.
Yeah.
Like manger, like Jesus. Now we're getting into religious themes.
But one of the technicians at their like medical campus has been like playing around with the machine. So it's miscalibrated. And I forget the exact
It's just like
math.
Spider-Man, dude. They're always fucking around, and that's the reason why they become superheroes.
So he gets like a borderline lethal dose of gamma into his head, into his whole body. And he's fine until he drives home in the rain, and he tries to like change his tire because his tire exploded or whatever, and he hurts his hand, and then he turns into a Hulk, and the Hulk throws the car down a ravine. He gets pissed off.
I don't remember the order of events in this episode. I don't remember if it's brought up later, but you missed a very important thing.
Yes, I think it comes up early.
Another fucking day, another fucking Marvel car crash. Because these always open with car crashes, dude.
Yeah, so his impetus for this research is that he believes he ought to have been one of these people who showed extraordinary strength in a desperate circumstance when he got into a car accident with his first wife, Laura. First wife, yeah, foreshadowing.
Seed. Foreshadow.
They get into a car accident, the car's flipped, he gets thrown through the windshield, which there's an anecdote in this companion book where the author spoke to an expert who was like, that can't really happen. But whatever. He gets thrown out of the car, his wife is pinned in, and he can't get the door open, and she gets blowed up like Monk's wife from Monk.
Gets blowed up in a car crash like the guy from the beginning of the Captain America serial. And almost like the guy that almost hit Spider-Man with a car.
Almost. There's always, every Marvel thing has someone having a near-death experience in a car crash and mind control.
Cars are scary.
Very scary. That's why David walks everywhere after he becomes the Hulk.
That's why he fends off cars with his threatening thumb. He says, "Be gone, cars."
Giving every car that passes him a thumbs down to show he does not approve. So he wants to know why he's not special, why he wasn't able to show that strength to save his wife, and he carries that like broody atmosphere of dead wife all around the office with him during the pilot, and poor Dr. Marks has a huge crush on David Banner, and who wouldn't? He's very handsome. Every like guest star who was interviewed in this book is just like, oh yeah, I had a huge crush on Bill Bixby and I was so excited to work with him, but he had a lot of personal tragedy, so he was very sad when I met him.
Well, you're not going to kill yourself in my laboratory.
Well, you're being pretty shitty about it, aren't you?
I think that adds to the crush, doesn't it? The mystique of a moody boy.
That's basically what's going on with Dr. Marks in this pilot. She's into him, but she knows that he's like in boarding. So, interesting thing that I read from Kenneth Johnson, who says that like if you pay attention in the pilot, they never actually touch each other. Not until after the Hulk is shot and she's acting as like a physician trying to treat the bullet wound. But like they have moments where they think about touching, but get very close and then pull away, or they're touching through glass where there's no actual physical contact.
The lone wolf was set up from the start, and he would never stop being the lone wolf, except for that one time. But
the one time, and it didn't go well. We got to wrap this up. We got to wrap up the pilot talk.
We got to wrap up the pilot because we have everything. Fucking part of this show.
So basically he hulks out. He finds out that he turns into a Hulk, and he loses time because he doesn't remember when he turns into the Hulk. And then he gets Elena to help out with that. And Jack McGee, reporter, finds out about the Hulk being a thing, so he comes to ask them about it.
Jack McGee, he's a great addition. He's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, my favorite episodes in the show are the ones where we get good Jack material. Excuse me. Fuck. Sorry. When we get character development for Jack McGee is what I meant to say.
Another episode for the McGee Bank, as we say. No, yeah, the double when they're in a plane crash. Weird start to an episode, but that's one of my favorite doubles. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Like the Jack McGee, David Banner. Fuck, he's called David. Their relationship is the most compelling part of this, I think. The cat and mouse game.
So Elena dies in an explosion, just like
there's a
David's
fire.
wife. Yeah. I have a fun fact about the pilot before we get away from it. I know we're not in the fun fact
We're already
section.
A little bit away from it, but go ahead.
So
I
the
have
hospital
one more note on it, so...
Yeah, so the hospital where David doses himself with gamma in the chair, that's the same hospital Walt Disney died in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that where they decapitated him and froze his head as well?
Presumably so. I don't know why you'd take him somewhere else to do that.
Was that while they were filming Hulk?
Yeah, that's where they got all the gamma energy. They drained it out of his body.
In the next room.
Walt
Disney is dying. And he's like, if I die, buy that Marvel thing.
What's your note on the pilot?
Oh, I think it's really nice that they buried Elaine Marks and David Bruce Banner right next to each other, like co-workers should be buried together, you know?
I hope when this podcast ends, that's what they do with us.
Yeah, they're gonna put us right next to each other. I've already got the plot picked out.
Oh, boy.
You're gonna have to die soon, though, because I don't know how long.
Okay. Can we finish the episode first, or...?
We'll try.
Okay.
It's touch and go.
How do you want to do this now? Do we just want to jump around favorite episode stuff?
We can kind of jump around, talk about the big picture while you're jumping around, I guess.
Yeah, so they did this pilot movie, and then they did a second movie that was like a pilot again, because one of the producers was like, I don't think this can stand for a show. So Kenneth Johnson was like, okay, first movie is an origin story, second movie is how an episode of the series could work. And that is called either Return of the Incredible Hulk, not to be confused with The Incredible Hulk Returns, but is also known as Death in the Family. And
I did actually confuse them. So
I did also a few times, yeah.
You said watch that. I'm like, didn't that one come out way later? No.
And it is very much a pilot for like how a show like this could work. It's Hulk. He shows up at a place, and Banner shows up at a place. He's looking for work. He gets a job. He discovers something nefarious going on. Tries to help.
Becomes the Hulk.
Becomes the Hulk one of his 2 times per episode, and
becomes
then
the Hulk again.
Yeah,
succeeds to help. Yeah. Sad leave.
To play piano music as he walks away into the sunset.
Into the road.
Into the road. Yeah.
Works really well. Good episode structure, actually.
Good. Fights a bear, as you mentioned.
Yeah, throws a bear, like, a long distance.
Yeah. As an anecdote, apparently Stan Lee wanted that to be a robot bear, and Ken said, no, that's stupid.
It is stupid. I agree. Why did he say that? Why did he want that?
He wanted that. I think because his brain was still wrapped around like comic book Hulk, and he's like, well, a regular bear wouldn't be a threat to comic Hulk, so it should be a robot bear, so it's a more substantial threat.
Why would there be a robot bear in the river, Stan?
Well, and part of Stan's counter argument was like, well, when you did $6 Million Man, you had him fight Sasquatch, and you made Sasquatch a robot. And Ken was like, yeah, Stan, that was in a world of bionics.
That was a different show.
It was a different show, different time, different setting.
When you did V, it was like a dystopia or something. I don't know what happens in V.
It's like if you put a big green guy in V.
It's like if you put a really tall man in Steel. Oh.
Shaquille O'Neal. Steel.
Next episode after that is a ripoff of Rocky, so much so that Sylvester Stallone sued them and they settled out of court.
That's good. We can move on from that episode before we get sued then.
Okay, I'll move on to a good one. 747, maybe my favorite episode of the show, honestly.
Of the whole show?
Honestly, maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's a good episode. It's a little bit like Airplane, but other than that.
It actually reuses footage from a film called Airport 1975.
I don't need to know anything else about that film. What a
me
perfect
neither.
title.
Yeah. There's a few episodes that reuse footage. There's many episodes that reuse footage from the show itself. Fans of the show like to joke about the shot of Hulk running down an illuminated dark alley. That is used like maybe a dozen times throughout the series.
I mean, they used the same footage at the beginning of every episode when he's in the chair and he gets gamma radiation and then he's in a car. Something I wanted to actually mention about that intro. Mm-hmm. Right at the end of it, they do a split screen of David Banner and the Hulk to show their like duality. One of the best split screens I've ever seen.
It's really good.
They really line up really well.
For two dudes with totally different heads and faces. Yeah, it lines up real nice. I think the reason I keep coming back to the 747 episode is because it's like the first time I was watching the show where I got a sense of something that was higher than episodic. In hindsight, this was a bit of a false start because it didn't actually go anywhere, but like we have the moment of David trying to take control of this plane whose like hydraulic fluid has leaked out, connecting the pilot controls to the actual like wings of the plane. So he has to like kind of temper his Hulk rage into just a little bit of controlled strength to actually operate the controls while maintaining his form as David.
He lightly taps into the power of the Hulk.
It's really cool.
A mythical way.
Yeah,
it does kind of come back in. I wrote down the name. Prometheus, part 1 and 2.
Yeah,
not really, but kinda comes back.
Yeah, that's an interesting pair of episodes. And it's also like really high concept, like it's a plane hijacking, which I understand, having read a little bit about these things. Plane hijackings used to be like just really common pre 9/11.
I mean, I assume it was pretty easy.
Yeah, you just take the plane over.
I have a question for you that I'm dying for an answer for.
Yes.
You sent me the most cryptic message like a week ago. You said, watch the episode with Mako. He is my Iron Fist for my defenders. What did you mean by that?
Okay. Let's skip ahead then. We'll skip past Earthquakes Happen, which is a fun little episode that reuses footage
Earthquakes
from the film
Happen
Earthquake.
is good, but all I have on that is there was too much steam in that building.
There's a lot of steam. I do like that episode for how David has to center attention on himself for the first time instead of being like a kind of sideline drifter figure.
Yeah.
Him basically playing Hitman World of Assassination in disguise. Well, scrolling down my list now, we've hit Bride of the Incredible Hulk, aka Mary, which you have mentioned to me off mic several times now. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I have mentioned it, because, I mean, 747's a good choice, but I mean, Bride of the Incredible Hulk, man.
It's really awesome, yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
What an emotional ride. No wonder this one won, I want to say, an Emmy.
I got really emotional when they did those racist Chinese accents.
Hello?
So season 2, episode 6, Another Path, is the first of 2 guest appearances from Mako. The acclaimed voice actor, I think, is most well known for people in our generation, but just generally a TV actor as well. And he does play like a wise, blind Asian stereotype of a man, but because it's Mako, he does elevate it, I would say. He's like the head of a martial arts school that is suffering like a coup from one of his former acolytes, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So you want me?
You're gonna skip over that one.
Okay.
Wait. No, you can't skip over a coup from one of his students. Who is that student, man?
I don't remember.
It's the director, the famous director Tom Holland, not Spider-Man. Tom
is
Holland.
it? Holy shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, the villain of that Mako episode is Tom Holland, who fucking wrote and directed Child's Play and
Fright Night, one of my favorite horror films. Holy shit!
And Thinner and The Langoliers.
That's
of
awesome.
Lesser note.
I actually really like The Langoliers. So sequel episode, same season, episode 17. Mako's back along with Rick Springfield.
That's my didn't notice.
Oh yeah, that's he's the guy in that. Like, David's barely in this episode. This is a straight up backdoor pilot for a Rick Springfield martial arts show. And the Iron Fist connection here is that the character he's playing, I was not able to verify whether he was specifically inspired by Iron Fist or rather was just a Iron Fist like figure. But the character being played by Rick Springfield is effectively like Danny Rand.
We're gonna have to skip ahead a little bit.
Okay.
Well, we're really out of time. We already talked about Mystery Man a little bit.
Yeah, great character development for David and Jack. David is like has amnesia and they get trapped in the woods together and they gotta survive and they bond. And
good Jack material, as a wise man once said.
Exactly.
Hook's dad and sister.
Yes, that would be Homecoming. Yeah, cool to see David have family at all. Like, they aren't acknowledged at any point in the show. It was originally going to be a 2-parter, but then they trimmed it down to 1, unfortunately, because I would have liked to see where this would have gone.
Yeah, but I mean, they were already running thin on plot by the end. Like, planes. It's like, I was thinking of Twisted Metal Black the whole time.
Yeah.
With the plane guy, you remember. Or you don't. I don't know what you remember, actually, about Twisted Metal, but...
I don't remember a plane guy in Twisted Metal. I thought they did Cars.
The plane guy. No, the first guy you play as in Twisted Metal, dude. The plane guy, where he Crop Duster. I don't know, we don't have time, but you're tempting me to talk about Twisted Metal right now.
They call him Crop Duster because he's just ripping farts all the time.
Fucking play the Twisted Metal. We're playing that one too.
All right. Next episode after this is based off of The Most Dangerous Game. A rich dude brings David to his island, tries to hunt him down, and he loses.
We could make a whole episode out of you just giving me 1-sentence plots for every episode, and I have no idea what's happening.
We skipped right over my favorite magician, which is reunites... It reunites Bill with his former co-star from My Favorite Martian, but his co-star from that show is now playing a magician, so it's a reference to My Favorite Martian and the magician.
And he was a magician. He had the ball.
He had the ball. He had his
the ball.
Exactly.
He was an illusionist. They get real upset if you call him magician.
All right, so the Snare, up to season 3, episode 9. That is as far as I've watched the whole show.
Move on.
Hold on. I just want to give context. That I watched this whole show from start to season 3, episode 9, and then I had to jump around because I ran out of time for this episode. But I will go back and anyway, the next thing I jumped to was The Psychic. You watched that one?
Yeah, there was like a Warriors type gang, and they shot McGee. It was good Jack material. Move on.
No, that's not The Psychic.
That is, there's a psychic woman, and she's like, Jack McGee, you're gonna get shot in the boxing ring.
Yeah, he didn't actually get shot. That's why I got confused.
She got shot twice, but he didn't die. He was just shot.
Okay, I misremember that.
And then Hook was dangling from that banister.
Well, worth mentioning that the
David
co-star,
Bannister, dude.
The co-star in this episode is Bill Bixby's
ex-wife.
I believe they were still married at the time, but in the midst of their divorce.
That's even tougher.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do we want to get into like the intense drama of their lives at all?
I think that's Bill Bixby's cross to bear.
And then we have the first part 1 and part 2. This is about a guy who became Hulk before Hulk, and then he got cured, so Banner thinks he can cure himself, but then the guy becomes Hulk again, and then they fight, and he smashes the cure, and David's really upset about it.
And
let's
kills
move on
him
to
or something. I kind of lost me in the last few minutes.
a little bit. he did die.
I wrote
oh
down
no, he's shot
note.
Dead by police. That's what happened. I remember.
I wrote down one note for that entire duology, and I just wrote, he's such a dick.
he's a dick. He's a weird little like scrungly Hulk as well. For a while, like we kept flashing back to the tragic loss of the Bride of the Hulk in that hurricane when she died in a hurricane. We didn't mention that.
She didn't die of hurricane though. She just died in a hurricane.
The hurricane was somewhat irrelevant to her death, other than the fact that it was a obstacle for them to get to the hospital. We didn't mention that Hulk married by an act of God.
Kind of.
We didn't mention his second wife had like a terminal illness, and she's also a hypnotist.
I forgot about the hypnotist.
That's the whole reason that he finds her. Is he's like, can you hypnotize the Hulk out of me?
Now that you've reminded me, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, but only if you help me hypnotize the lethal disease I have that I don't remember what that is.
Doesn't work for either of them.
Is it like a Lou Gehrig's-esque thing?
Lou Gehrig disease.
Similar.
Like she's just kind of like just dying nebulously.
Maybe it comes full circle.
It's E. coli. Just like in the last episode of the show, A Minor Problem. Where
wasn't meant to be the last episode.
No,
I'm certain.
I mean, the show was canceled while the season was in production, so they made this one knowing it was the last one, but I don't think it was written to be the last one, if that makes sense.
A long part of the episode, right at the beginning, feels like Peter David, I think it's called The End, or sometimes it's called The Last Titan. I think that's what it was based off, where it's like hundreds of years in the future, nuclear war has wiped out everything and everyone except for the Hulk, because he can't die. And like Bruce Banner is so old and he's just desperate to die, and Hulk really wants Banner to die.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just him like on his own. Oh, there's also like a horde of cockroaches, but that's that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the ghost town element. Like it reminded me of Phantoms with Ben Affleck.
What?
Yeah.
What?
You should watch Phantoms. You should watch Phantoms.
The fuck is thinking about Phantoms? It's
Affleck was the bomb
you
in
and
Phantoms,
Juana,
Joel.
man. Like, you're the only guy.
You said I get one more.
Yeah, you got one. Make it your funniest note. Make me laugh.
I don't have another funny one, but I'll mention that season 2, episode 13, No Escape, has a Jack Kirby cameo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's at the end of the episode, someone's being interviewed about having seen the Hulk, and they have a sketch artist doing a illustration of what they're describing, and it's Jack Kirby, and he draws like a comic book looking Hulk.
That's cute. It's
really cute. And good on you, Jack, for getting a cameo in a thing based on your work before Stan.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. Yeah, that's a really good observation.
Yeah. You know, Ken Johnson wanted to make the Hulk red for this show, and Stan was like, I'll kill him with my own hands if he does that.
I do know that, because it's in your favorite segment, brother, Fun Facts. We made it. Fun Facts, as always, starts with a short clip. Wyatt has to guess where it's from. This week, Fun Facts, I never prepare it. I always have to find it real quick while I'm talking. Fun Facts is presented by...
How'd you get a recording of me stubbing my toe on the way to the recording? No, I think I know exactly where that is. I think that's when Elena Marks dies in the Hulk's arms in the pilot.
You're exactly right.
Fuck yeah.
What a scream. What a great scream.
Yeah, there's like 2 paragraphs in this companion book about shooting that scene, and like everyone on set being like, Lou, just go for it. And he's like, all right.
Fun fact, in season 3, episode 8, we are introduced to the character of Helen Banner, the sister of Bruce, who never reappears. That's not it for the fact, but she doesn't reappear.
Yeah.
When it looked like The Incredible Hulk might be cancelled in Season 4, series creator Kenneth Johnson, in an effort to save the series, suggested a Season 5 opening episode where Helen would return. Helen would be revealed to be suffering from a blood disease and require a blood transfusion from her brother to survive. Such an episode was never produced. However, concerns that the show would eventually do a female Hulk had prompted Marvel Comics to create She-Hulk to ensure the copyright of such a character.
One of Stan's favorite pastimes was locking down copyright. When Captain Marvel went out into open water,
he dived
from
for
Charlton,
that like he was diving on a grenade.
Exactly.
He was on their second one.
Straight up, they created Captain Marvel just to lock that in. You want to know a good lie? One of Stan's favorites was how he came up with the name of the Hulk. Which
you want to talk about lies and Stan Lee? Why we can be here all day.
He's like I heard somebody describe a boat as hulking, and I was like, Hulk, that's got such a nice sound to it. Meanwhile, several years earlier, him and Jack Kirby had written a story about a monster called the Hulk. He just had used it before. He just fucking lied.
He's like, that's pretty good. Did I write that? I sure did.
Say what you want about Stan, you can't argue he wasn't a fucking storyteller to the grave. Anyway, what else do you got, Joel?
Fun fact, Wyatt. Producer Kenneth Johnson wanted the Hulk's skin color to be red, believing
I didn't
that
know
it would
that.
reflect the character's anger. However, Stan Lee rejected the idea. Furthermore, Marvel Comics would introduce Red Hulk in 2008, a character resembling the Hulk, but with a red skin color.
There's some interviews with Kenneth in this book that I have, and he recalls the discussion with Stan about turning the Hulk red instead, and he's like, how come you made him green, Stan? And Stan's like, well, he was gray, and the printers didn't make the gray correctly, so they said that they could do green really consistently, so we made him green. And presumably Kenneth is just like, what the fuck, Stan?
Fun fact, Wyatt. There are a lot of Lou Ferrigno fun facts on the
he's
internet.
a fun guy.
Mostly on IMDb. It's a good place for fun facts. He seems like a lovely dude. My favorite one, Lou Ferrigno said that he had become so frustrated on set one day that he stormed off and he drove home while still wearing full Hulk makeup and costume.
Yeah.
Ferrigno added that the sight of him driving as such resulted in a passing motorist having a minor automobile accident. That motorist was later revealed to be Malf, the elf with a gun. I have one more fun fact. I have the best fun fact, the one we've all been waiting for. Fun fact, Wyatt. When asked about the name change from Bruce Banner to David Banner during an interview, Stan Lee had this to say, quote, some genius at the network said, oh no, Stan, Bruce makes him sound homosexual. It sounds gay.
Bruce makes him sound homosexual. It sounds gay.
So Ken has a different story. Ken has a different explanation.
You're telling me Stan Lee may have lied?
It's so unprecedented for somebody to disagree with how Stan recalls a series of events, but Kenneth says simply, he just really wanted the show to be as far away from the comic books as possible. That's part of why he wanted the Hulk to be red. That's why there's no other supporting characters from the show. But David Banner was an effort to step away from the alliterative comic booky names, which Stan made his bread and butter on. So I can understand why he might have been a little upset that was considered too stupid or juvenile for TV.
But did he say it was too gay for TV?
He didn't say it was too gay. He only said it was too comic booky, which is maybe what he meant, I guess, if we give Stan any credit that he doesn't deserve. But oh no, we can't end yet. We have to rank the show on our
tier list. Why'd we put it at the top of the fucking list?
Oh yeah. So we have S, A, B, C, F, and we as of recording, I have the Amazing Spider-Man 70s live action show on B. I believe is what we said last time.
So we have Spider-Man. We can't move it out of Spider-Man. I want to put Hulk in the A tier. Yeah. Not an S. I don't think it's quite S, but that's a personal thing. I'm not the most 70s TV guy, is my thing.
Yeah, I hear you. I think this show is getting me into that era of television. I've actually collected several shows that I want to watch from the 70s now.
You can tell me if The Fugitive is any good, because I won't.
I might check out The Fugitive, honestly. I think I will.
I hear it's very similar to The Hulk.
Yeah, that's allegedly so. I'll let you know if Les Mis is any good as well.
I'll finally watch The Les Mis with Russell Crowe. I'll send you the clip of him falling off the bridge.
But yeah, I agree with A tier. I think that's good. All right, well, that's the show. Thank you. What do we still haven't figured out a proper outro for this, have we?
You'll have to excuse me, Wyatt, because I now have to walk down a road and put my thumb out while sad piano music plays.
Oh yeah, thumb down all the cars that go past.
Yeah. So I'll see you next week if I get a hitchhike to the next episode.
You're